Hello and welcome. I am Lee, aka the Basics Bitch, and joining me today on this call, I have got the man, the myth, the legend that you know as the Void.
Guten Tagen.
So, today we are going to be talking about the theme of the month for the community, and that is manifestation, or as the Void likes to call it, that hippy dippy universe shit. Not in a derogative way, though, honestly.
I would never say anything derogatory.
So, the title of this call is Be Careful What You Wish For.
Because you might just get it.
Exactly. And before we go into the story behind that title, I want to just make clear that manifestation is not making a wish and waiting for it to come true. Manifestation is setting your intent, having a goal in mind, and then making moves to have that happen. The universe cannot help you to achieve your goal unless you put yourself out there into situations that allow things to happen. So let's get to the point of this call today. Accidental manifestation. A lot of people in the world are using manifestation without knowing it. They have something they want to achieve, they put themselves in the right position, and then it happens. I feel personally that manifestation should be something that you do and that you work on in a purposeful way. I have, however, many times in my life, accidentally manifested things. Now, I know that you do not like my theory that I manifested you into my life and that you had no control over that situation.
It's an interesting ideology, certainly.
But I do personally believe that 2 and a bit years ago, I accidentally manifested myself an entire new life and a new partner.
She fell into the void, quite literally.
And I don't regret it. What was happening at that point in time was that I was in a pretty dark place. I was working on my business, which was a good thing, and it was something I was passionate about. It was the first time that I launched as the Basic AF program and working as the Basic Bitch. And I was very much enjoying that. But I got myself wrapped up in the cheerleader coaching world mentality and was suffering comparisonitis and keeping up with the Joneses. And I was putting myself in debt, trying to keep up with other people, joining all these training programs that I thought I needed to be able to better serve my clients, and doing lots of other things like promoting other people's businesses because I was convinced, I don't like to use the term brainwashed, but that's basically what it was, that they were helping me, that I was building a circle of support, and that it was all mostly women empowering women. I crashed and burned really epically. Thank you, my sound effects guy. I was literally in the middle of a mental breakdown and didn't realize it. And I had a epiphany moment that
If that continues, please make sure you go to the doctor. Epiphanies can be treated with various creams and steroid injections.
Yes, one of them is known as fuck it all, right?
Oh, yes.
But I crashed and burned big time. And I had this epiphany that I did not want to live my life this way anymore. I wanted a new life. I wanted a fresh start. I didn't want to be the person that I was because I was heavily masking and being somebody that wasn't authentically me. I was trying to be what I thought I needed to be to do the job I wanted to do. And in the middle of this breakdown and having this epiphany moment, I made a video, and it was just a silly TikTok video where I put my intentions out into the world. I don't want to adult anymore. Life is too hard. Send me a new dom to take care of me. Now, if you are not into the BDSM scene, that will make no sense.
Bow
But
chicka wow wow.
I was telling the universe that I was done being an adult and I wanted someone to look after me. And 2 weeks later, I got a DM on my Snapchat platform where I was building another separate business and had a following of 6,000 with around 2,000 DM inboxes coming in every day. And yet I spotted this DM. It was from a man who got a little bit confused by the name of my business, which was Dungeons and Deviants. He didn't see that full title when he read it on the screen and thought it was about Dungeons and Dragons, the role-playing game.
What a nerd.
And in this DM, he asked me what class I play. Me, having a very limited knowledge of D&D, and was literally using that terminology because it was currently trending thanks to the new movie that had just come out. I was trying to use it to my advantage for advertising. Had no clue, but we ended up getting into a conversation. There was a bit of back and forth. I explained the mistake he'd made and what it was that I actually did, and it turns out he was interested in that too, because who wouldn't be? Anyway, couple of weeks down the line, after some messages and some back and forth conversations and getting to know each other, we were at the point where we were talking on a daily basis for about 6 hours a day.
Plus.
I mean, it got so bad that he went into work without having had any sleep and started to hallucinate a cat running around the factory.
Yeah, not the healthiest way to start a workday.
Not at all.
48 hours of no sleep and talking to a person non-stop, you're gonna see pussy everywhere.
Kittens, right?
Yeah, kittens. Kittens, totally meant kittens, not pussy.
But this continued. We were having long conversations well into the early hours of the morning, putting the world to rights. And at one point, there was a major life change for me, which was my son going into his residential school placement. And I was suddenly free to go wherever I wanted, whenever I wanted, without any concerns.
Free at last, free at last. Oh, my Kingsters, I'm free at last.
And that is exactly what I did. I booked a train ticket from North Yorkshire, where I was, down to Plymouth, and arranged for the Void to meet me at the train station. And I planned on staying in Plymouth for an 8-day holiday. That didn't really work out, but in a good way. I was having so much fun while here and enjoying spending time with the Void and others that I met through him that I stayed for 3 weeks. And then I went home for about 3 days.
2.
And I was already missing the place and the people and just the way that I felt when I was there. I felt like I could finally be myself. I wasn't having to live up to anyone's expectations. Nobody knew anything about me. I had no history there, and I loved it. So I traveled up and down the country for a couple of months over the summer, spending very little time in my home in North Yorkshire and a lot of time in hotel rooms and on people's sofas in Plymouth. Until finally I decided this is it. I packed 2 suitcases and walked away from everything else in my life, and I got my fresh start. I've now been here 2 years, and although things haven't been easy recently with my new mobility issues and other situations going on, finding housing in this place is horrendous.
The Void is also completely mentally cracked, which is also a challenge.
That's not a challenge. It keeps things exciting. But anyway, that is how I, one, met the void, and two, manifested myself an entire new life, including a supportive, if sometimes jokingly, what's the word I'm looking for?
Deranged lunacy.
Confusing partner. Let's say confusing.
Deranged.
And it was completely by accident. But at the same time, it wasn't. I set that intention. I put myself out there and I allowed things to happen. I took advantage of the opportunities that came my way and I achieved my goal, literally, even though my goal was very vague and was initially put out there as a joke. But then there is the flip side of accidental manifestations. This time last year, I was job hunting. I decided that when I came here, wanted to work in 9 to 5 and live a normal life after 20 years of being a sole trader, after 20 years of being a crafter and a maker and a businesswoman.
And a candlestick maker.
And a candlestick maker. I did actually make wax melts at one point. Never got into candles though, they seem too complicated.
The low temperature ones can be fun.
Yes, they can. But I had decided when I moved here that I wanted a normal life. I wanted a regular wage and to go to work and do my job and then come home and enjoy my free time. And that lasted for about 18 months. And then around New Year last year, well, this year actually, because we're almost out of this year, I started to really miss the freedom that running a business had previously given me, the creative outlet, and just that sense of achievement that I used to get, especially from helping other people to change their lives through business. And I started to have a constant inner monologue about how I hated doing this 9 to 5 thing. I mean, it wasn't even a 9 to 5. It was 11 p.m. till 11 a.m., 12-hour shifts, 3 days on, 3 days off that were spent recovering and getting ready to go back to work. It was not the 9 to 5 life that I thought it was going to be. The money was damn good, and I was enjoying that side of things, but I was very much missing elements of my old life, and it was constantly on my mind. And I, again, unintentionally put my intentions out into the world. I wish there was a way that I could go back and be running those businesses again, that I could have that freedom, that I could enjoy what I'm doing instead of just having a job. And I carried on about my business and my life. And then I went to visit my son at his placement. And I took a step wrong, literally, stepped up a curb and something in my knee cracked. Looking back, I think it may have been partially dislocated, but I couldn't stand up. I couldn't put any weight on it. I couldn't walk. And I ended up, after managing to drag my ass home on the trains, going into A&E and being given some crutches and told, it's a little bit of ligament damage. You'll be fine in about 6 weeks. You should be able to return to work within 4 weeks, and just make sure that when you are at work, you rest it and elevate it as much as possible. Great. Off I go on my crutches, thinking, it's not so bad. I've got some holidays that will cover that time period. We'll work it out. 6 months later, my condition has deteriorated. I now have pain that is at times excruciating in both of my knees. Every step I take is painful. My hips hurt, my back hurts. I managed to pull all of the muscles in the left side of my chest while coughing when I had a cold. And I haven't been able to get myself out, even using my wheelchair, because of that for the last 4 weeks. I have another trip to Wales due soon. That's going to be fun. But I have gone back to my old life because of this injury. I am running businesses again. I am helping others to build their business and change their lives. I am exactly where I said I wanted to be. just not in the best circumstances. And that's why you should always be careful what you wish for. And you must always be very clear with your intent and how you want to achieve that goal.
I wish to find a winning lottery ticket.
If only it was that simple, right?
I would like to be the devil's advocate and counter this entire thought process.
Okay.
What would you say to the argument that manifestation and wishing things into your life is just a cheap way of moving away from accountability? Shouldn't you, in theory, be accountable for your actions, which obviously the hippy dippy nonsense of manifestation obviously runs parallel away from? Is it not better to decide what you want to be and go be it and work towards the goals and the fundamentals yourself, as opposed to just letting go and letting the universe, quote unquote, do the work for you?
And that's a great point. That is exactly why I always say to people that manifesting things in your life is not about making a wish and waiting for it to happen. For me, manifestation is exactly that. It is setting a goal, it is taking action with intent to make that goal happen. I just use manifestation as a way to keep the motivation, to feel as though somebody out there is supporting me, even if that is some hippy dippy energy that is around us all and rewards me for taking the steps that I need to take by throwing opportunities at me, like the opportunity to jump on a train and come to Plymouth.
Which is a valid, fair point, but what would you say about those people who do literally just, that is their mentality? Is like, I have no control over a thing, I'm just going wherever the wind takes me.
I get what you mean. You're thinking about the people who are like, oh, my computer's not working because Mercury's in retrograde today. And people who have this idea that they have no control over their life because fate has already dictated everything that will happen. And therefore, what's the point in trying? If I'm meant to have these things, I would have them. And I generally try to avoid those circles. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. Everyone is entitled to their own beliefs. That doesn't mean I have to buy into them. And it certainly doesn't mean that I will encourage other people into them. I love manifestation from my own point of view of it and the practical way that I try to use it. It's about centering myself. It's about getting clarity. It's about making those moves to make what I want to happen. I do, in a sense, believe that everything on this earth and in this universe is linked. We are all made of energy, which means that we are linked to everything else that is made of energy. And the way that we act and interact with the world can have an impact on our lives. If you make the choice to, let's use an example we've both had to deal with in our lives, take drugs, you are going to have a certain life because of that. And someone who says, well, I had no control over what happened to me. Yes, they did. They decided to take drugs in the first place. It's that similar kind of thinking of, well, I have no control, so what's the point? And I don't like to encourage that. I don't like to give any weight to that idea that the universe and fate are just controlling everything and it's already laid out. But I do like to think that maybe there's somebody keeping score. And if you do the right things and put in the effort, you will be rewarded for it.
But why manifestation? Surely you could just, you see an opening, the door slightly open, kick it open.
Manifestation is just one name for a process. It has come about and become popular in certain circles because people like that idea that they will be rewarded for doing things. Other people, as you pointed out, will use it in a different way and use it to get away from accountability. Oh, well, it's not my fault. I didn't do that thing. I wasn't meant to because it didn't manifest. Everything in the world can be used in a positive or a negative way. Sometimes people just need a little bit of a push to realize that it's not what they thought it was. But manifestation is just one name for it. Other people call it planning. Some people call it action steps. Some people call it journaling. And it's exactly the same thing. It's getting those ideas out there. It's getting clarity on what you want and then going out and getting it.
So the best approach is just to wake up, put on your pants, get out and do the job.
Exactly. A lot of people will use things like alignment as a way to procrastinate.
I know about alignment, lawful good, chaotic neutral.
Yes, there is alignment in Dungeons and Dragons. And it is the same kind of concept. If you are playing a character who has lawful good alignment, they wouldn't then go out and do something bad. And that is what alignment in the business world means. When your business is aligned with your values, you would stick to those values. Like me, I don't like to use false advertising or make promises that I can't guarantee. Other people, not so bothered about that. And people will use getting aligned as an excuse to procrastinate. They're waiting for a sign from the universe to tell them they're on the right track. At the end of the day, it all comes down to labels. It's just different names for things. But the best approach to get a thing done is always to just do the thing.
That's how I got into neighbors. I managed to get into neighbor's garbage because I said, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to flip that lid, and I'm going to get that trash.
Indeed. Bandit never procrastinate.
Nope, not at all.
Take action.
Give me back the mic. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Void speaking. The trash panda is back in the trash.
Where he is happiest and most fulfilled, which is where we all want to be, right? Happy and fulfilled.
Yes.
If you decide to use manifestation as part of getting yourself that happy and fulfilled feeling in life, make sure that you do it with intent and purpose and by taking action.
Not by being a hippie.
There's nothing wrong with being a hippie. There is something wrong with wishing on a star like a Disney fucking princess, so. Anyway, thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed our little rambling conversation and that it gave you a little bit of an insight into manifestation and how you can use it, and be careful with it. Anything else to add?
1 + 1?
5, right?
6? I don't know. I had dyscalculus.
Me too.
Shock horror. This is the Void signing off, disappearing into that black eternal. Goodbye.
Okay, thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening to the replay. Okay, I love you. Bye-bye.